Hello and welcome back to Flannel's Briar. I'm Gareth. Still. Just sitting out on the front porch, enjoying a pipe full of GLP's Quiet Nights and my, I just call it the Richmond Bulldog. It's some state pipe I got off eBay or somewhere. It says Richmond, England made, something like that. London made. It's kind of got a unexpected day off today. Scanner at work was broken, so my boss said, hey, you could just take the day off. And I said, yeah, I have plenty of stuff to do at home, so why not? And I have gotten some stuff done already, actually. It's just like mid-morning and just getting ready for here at the end of next week. My wife and I are heading off on our big Yellowstone vacation. Yellowstone and other stuff vacation. For as long as I've been planning that planning that trip and looking forward to it and all that, it's like the last almost, well, at least the last 10 months or so, 10-11 months. Yeah, it's right around the corner now, so I have stuff to get done for that, packed and ready and all that, of course. Last weekend I had my the last gravel bike race that I'm doing this year. I was up in Marysville, Kansas. Did the 65-mile route, which was, there was a 120-mile one. Didn't do that one, but the race was going pretty well, and I was moving along pretty well. Starting to get like mid-race, maybe like the last third, into the last third, I was, feeling a little tired, but what you're gonna do when you've been riding pretty well. But there was this part on the course where there was a very sharp corner. This wasn't a 90-degree angle turn. It was, I don't know, greater than that, whatever. Sort of a kind of a hairpin turn, kind of. But anyway, it was the type of thing where they actually warned you beforehand in an email that it was there, and they had signs there. And as I approached it, I slowed down. I got around that sharp corner without any problem. It's kind of a downhill in that turn sort of thing. Well, I still don't know exactly how, but maybe about 30 yards past that. So you turn to the right, and then you're proceeding. Well, on the left side of the road, I don't know exactly what happened, but I think it was a combination of maybe it was still kind of downhill. I think the road surface must have been pretty loose with gravel and dirt and such. And I don't know if I just once I was past the corner, I started pedaling pretty hard and accelerated, or if it was still downhill and that's why I was going faster. But anyway, I wound up drifting towards the left side of the road, and it was the type of thing where I don't think I could have put the brakes on because I think everything was so loose or something. And it was one of those things where I just had to try to ride it out, and I couldn't ride it out. I kept drifting more towards the left just from physics, and I wound up into this rut that was just on the edge of the road, and I crashed. And Fortunately, this time I don't believe that I tore anything up on my bike, unlike the Unbound 100 crash where I tore up my shifter and brake lever on the left side. But I did put a couple small holes in my. I wore the jersey the jersey from the gravel bike race I did in Colorado, which I don't know, maybe I shouldn't have, but I put a couple small holes in. It's nothing too bad, but still, I'm not that happy. I'm more bummed that I damaged that jersey, which I got because it's like, hey, I don't know, next time I'll be doing a bike race in Colorado, so I got that jersey and whatever. But anyway, after that, I slowed down considerably because I hurt pretty bad. My body just took a decent hit with that one. And I had scrapes on my legs, on the side of my calf, side of my hip, even up my shoulder area. And I hurt, like the muscles underneath my shoulders were really sore. And it was the type of thing, as I was riding along, I only had about 20 miles to go or something, so I kept riding to just finish. But had that happened earlier in the race, I don't know if I would have even kept going. But the thing that was crummy was it slowed me. I felt, at least, my average speed went way down, just the rate I was riding in general. And several people came past me that I probably would have stayed in front of if I had not crashed and slowed down. But eventually I took some ibuprofen and stuff, and it seemed to help a little bit. But anyway, I finished the race, and I still finished within, I think, the first third of the whole field. That's one of those things. As well as things have been going, it would have been nice to see how I would have finished if that crash hadn't happened. But I won't know because the crash happened and it kind of messed things up. But that's how that went. But anyway, I can't complain. I'm basically all in one piece, and it didn't destroy things too badly, I guess. Even if I messed that jersey up a little bit. But I've been reading. Well, first I read a book. The first time I ever went to Yellowstone, back in 1992, when I was 13, I got a book, and it was kind of dealt with the history of the park, and all the way from millions of years ago to essentially present day. It was one of those books that I started reading it over the years. I never really got that far into it. It's not that I didn't like it, it's just one of those books. I just had a hard time. Had several false starts reading it. Well, I really wanted to read it before I went on this trip. And I did read it, and I completed it. And I really enjoyed it. I wanted to reread the book Death in Yellowstone, the second edition, because I've read the first edition. And I think I may have mentioned that on another video. That's a book where it's all about people that have died in and around Yellowstone Park. Even before, it goes, as far back as there are records of things going on, even before the park was a designated park. And yeah, that runs the gamut of all sorts of stuff, The few people that have been killed by grizzly bears and partially eaten, to people that have fallen into hot springs, or people that have maybe intentionally jumped into a hot spring and died, people that have been shot by other people. I think that's happened at least once. I know there's a case where a guy got shot by the Nez Perce Indians when the government was trying to relocate him to an Indian reservation. They retreated through the park, and they wound up shooting. There was a guy that was on I think his honeymoon trip or something with his wife. Well, I don't know why, but they shot him in the head, and apparently survived. And he was able to, he made a watch fob out of the flattened bullet that they took out. I don't know, it was pancaked on his skull or whatever. And he actually returned to the park later, I think, with his wife, years later or something. I heard that in that Ken Burns documentary. But anyway, very interesting book. Want to reread that. I might start in on that one. I'm not going to get that far, but that's okay. I've already read, the first edition of it. But what I have been reading is this book, Lost in the Yellowstone by Truman Everts, and it's actually edited by this Lee H. Whittlesey. He's the guy that wrote the Death in Yellowstone book. But this book tells the story of this Truman Everts guy who was on an expedition. I think it was kind of like the second main exploratory and surveying type, although I don't think they did any surveying, expedition into Yellowstone. This was like in 1870, 2 years before it became designated a national park. Well, this guy, he got separated from the group, and he had to spend, I don't know, like 37 days, a little over a month by himself. And it's really amazing that he lived, because he basically, the horse that he had ran off with what supplies he had. He eventually, the few things he did have on, which included like 2 knives and some other stuff, he eventually lost. And it got to the point where about all he had was a lens out of called an opera glass. I don't know if that's like those little kind of dainty opera like binoculars, or if it was like a monocle. I've kind of heard both, but anyway, he figured out he could light a fire with that, and so he had fire when the sun was out. But just all sorts of stuff. He had, a mountain lion trying to get him. He was freezing, so he went to this hot spring or geyser basin area, and he was able to kind of like camp out on it and stay warm. But in the middle of the night, his like hip broke through this thin crust of this thermal area, and steam came up and like severely burned his hip. And anyway, he eventually accidentally lit a forest fire one night, and trying to get out of the fire, I think he burned part of his body pretty bad. But anyway, just through all this stuff, eventually he was found and rescued. Man, he wrote this book, and it was published initially in Scribner's Monthly, I think was the magazine. And that's what it's in this book. And it also has, like, I guess his handwritten original. It's towards the back. That's about the part I'm at now. But anyway, very interesting story. Something I wanted to read before we went. But yeah, that's what I've been doing. Getting ready to go up to the northwest of here. And I don't know what it was I was looking at, but I got me thinking and got me looking into camera stuff. And I just kind of on a whim, I went looking on B&H Photo to see what they had for slide film, and to see about like slide film processing. And I don't know if I've already said this in the last video I recorded or not, but anyway, turns out there's a place in Parsons, Kansas that does a lot of film processing still. So I can like mail my stuff there, and they'll process it and scan it and all that, and send me my slides back, sort of thing. So I can get it processed, and I was able to find a Kodak Ektachrome 100 slide film on B&H Photo, which I don't know. I don't think I've ever shot that before. I haven't really shot anything with my camera for, I don't know, probably at least like 18 years or so. Nothing very serious. Yeah, last time I shot slide film with my camera was probably about 19 or close to 20 years ago. But yeah, at least 18. But anyway, I decided to get 4 rolls of slide film. So I'm going to take my old Nikon FG SLR camera with us, and take some pictures, see what happens. I hate to say it. I mean, my phone is the best camera that I have, digital camera, and but I miss having the just the control of an SLR. Um, I just need to eventually buy a digital SLR, but I haven't done that yet. But yeah, I'm kind of. It'll be fun to break out the old Nikon and do some old school photography, and hopefully I get some good pictures. But yeah, that's what I've been up to. Um, Another rambly, long, not too much any point YouTube pipe video for me, but for now, just enjoying a really good pipe. I really love. I really have to say. I mean, the weather's cooled down in general, cooler than it was. So it's getting to be Latakia season again, and I have to say, I really think overall, probably my most favorite, or my favorite overall category of pipe blends has got to be well crafted Latakia blends. I like quite a few things. Not so much heavy Perique stuff. I know, I know that's the kind of side I don't care for as much. But yeah, I love good English blends. Good stuff. But anyway, thanks for joining me. This is Gareth with Foothills Bar. See you next time.